All right, let's get it going. What's going on, guys? How is everybody? That was rhetorical. Thank you for jumping on. I assume everything's going well. We just don't have time to ask everybody individually how they're doing. So I hope you're well. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brian Force, and on camera 2 here, we've got the lovely Geniya Talsky. Geniya, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, so I'm Geniya Talsky and I specialize in investment properties. I'm a real estate broker. I like to have fun and yeah, bro, let's have some fun. Let's do this.
That like to have fun part threw me for a loop. She meant webinars. Love to do webinars.
Yes.
Early on a Tuesday morning. So Geniya, if you don't know who I am, my name is Brian Force. I run her group DFW here. We have a Dallas, Flower Mound, and now Frisco location. Geniya is our director of sales / badass investment broker for our Frisco location. So hold the F on. What is going on with my Zoom here? Can everybody see me still? I'm good. Okay, cool. Just making sure. Oh, all right. And anyway, we are the #2 expansion team in Keller Williams. We were fortunate enough to do just about $60 million in sales last year, and we are on pace to do that quite a bit more than that this year. So we're going to be talking today about how to find off-market properties for your buyers, which is crazy important in a super low inventory market. We're going to try to get through this in about 90 minutes. Sometimes it goes a little shorter, sometimes it goes a little longer. What we would ask is if you guys have questions along the way and things like that, I've purposely kind of set it so it's going to mute everybody automatically. Doesn't mean I don't want you guys to talk. I just don't want a million people talking over each other at once because that kind of becomes unproductive. So if you want to just kind of type questions into the chat, if you have them along the way, we will either try to get to them as we're talking if we can kind of fit that in, or we'll kind of go back at the end and spend maybe the last 10 or 15 minutes just answering all the questions. So feel free to type in, chime in, ask questions. That's what we're here for. And we'll get started, and we'll try to answer everything along the way. So first things first, what are we going to cover today? Geniya, what do you want to cover today?
I want to cover the struggles, why we have struggles as real estate agents getting our buyers in the doors.
Now it seems harder than ever, man.
In the doors and then under contract, man.
Yeah, 100%. So we're going to talk about what the heck is going on in the market right now because it's basically unprecedented. We're going to talk about, I'm clicking the wrong buttons there. Oops. We're going to talk about how off-market deals can grow your business. This is one that just seems super, like maybe super basic and kind of bougie, like how off-market deals can grow your business. It's true. Like what we really want to convey to you guys throughout this entire process. I got to stop clicking buttons. Throughout this entire process is this is a systematic process, right? We are fortunate enough to have built a pretty large real estate business because we've built it on systems, processes, repeatable conveyor belt style processes that you can do over and over and over and over. So what that really should say is not how can off-market deals help grow your business? It's obvious. Off-market deals are deals. How can more deals grow your business? It's pretty simple, right? What that really should say is how can you build systems and processes around the finding of deals before they hit the open market so that you have an opportunity to either get yourself or your buyers or clients, whoever, under contract or involved with these deals in a systematic, repeatable fashion so that this can become a cornerstone of your business in a really low inventory market. Content creation. Oh, I just cut you off. I'm sorry.
Here's the reality of it, right? We've all heard this, how to find properties off market, how to build your business on it, right? So don't think the tagline that you've heard 1,000 times, think the actual implementation of it in this insane market.
Yeah,
not
100%.
the market when you first heard it in, 2012, 13, 14, any other year where it's just nothing like today's. We're talking actually doing it successfully, getting our buyers under contract, getting more listings where you wouldn't have had them before.
No, 100%. That is actually, I didn't even think about that. We've been talking about how to get off-market deals for your buyers. How about off-market listings?
Yep.
I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I got to retitle this whole webinar, guys. Hold on. No, I'm not going to do that right now. How to get off-market deals for your buyers and for yourself for listings. We're going to talk a lot about content creation today, social media, non-paid. I'm not going to ask you guys to go out and spend a whole bunch of money, but if you're not using social media right now, not only to enhance your business, but to open up new avenues of deal sourcing, whatever you want, deal flow. That is right there a process by which you can build a system around. Wholesalers are a big part of where we find our off-market deals. There is a lot to know on the wholesale front because, quite frankly, if you think that there are low barriers to entry to being a real estate agent, there are even lower to being a wholesaler. That's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all. It's just a different world.
It's a different world.
And so the numbers are different. The properties are different. The approach is different. These are properties that you're never going to have access to. This isn't something that's going to pop up on the search that you set up for your buyers. So it really does become an avenue less traveled.
Yep, 100%. I didn't do the live stream on Facebook, Kristen. Hold on. Give me one sec. All right, here we go. We're going to talk about data aggregation, building lists. Hold on. Dive in here and finish this list for me while I stream us on Facebook. I forgot to set that up.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Extended sphere. So not the sphere that you think about when you're putting your past clients into your database to make sure that you wish them a happy birthday. We're talking about the sphere that you didn't consider a sphere, right? So for all of us that have kids and we're on the sidelines of another sporting event during that misty Sunday afternoon, right? Those people, because I know you know what they do because they bitch about it on Sunday afternoons when it's misting, right? Because they had a long week. You need to do the same, but put it in the light that is approachable, right? All of my kids, teammates, parents know what I do for a living, not because I'm out there like, hey, do you know anybody who wants to buy or sell a house? Right. But because I have crazy cool stories that I know people who aren't in our business want to hear about them. Right. This is HGTV, but sitting next to you, you know, secretly drinking from a Yeti.
Don't act like I don't secretly drink from Yetis on Real HGTV. Hey, man, we did podcasts with Tarek El Musa and stuff. I know a lot of those guys now. You think those Yetis got water in them. Yeah, you're
never does it have water in it. If it looks like coffee, it has Baileys.
Exactly, right? And then we're going to talk a little bit. This is one that's really, really relevant right now, builder relationships. And I say that the builder relationships one's really, really relevant right now for a lot of reasons. Not only is that a great way to find off-market deals for your buyers specifically, with lumber shortages, or I would say a crazy increase in lumber prices lately, this has become, I think, even more valuable because you can get really, really great deals because the margins that builders have right now are getting cut pretty slim. So they don't want to rebuild stuff if they don't have to, or put people under a brand new contract if they don't have to. They'd rather sell you a spec. And so your ability to find specs that have fallen out or contracts that have fallen out that are going to become specs, that's actually a really great way to find off-market deals right now.
It's an excellent way to get deals for your buyers. But here's a little known fact. Folks that build homes with builders, especially when they go in unrepresented, right? They become besties with that sales rep. They're best friends because they went through the whole process. Guess who's going to be the third person to know that they're going to be moving for a job?
Oh, the sales rep.
Yes.
Probably good sales rep. Because they just spent 9 months with them.
Exactly. So they're coming to share the news like, oh, you know we built a beautiful house.
100%.
And here, you know, and now we have to move because of our job.
Yep.
If you have a good relationship with that sales rep, you're going to know about these listings where these people intending to sell.
Yep.
Unrepresented, they have no relationship to speak of, right?
100%. Yep. It's just more relationship building. So we're going to dive in. That's going to give you a little bit of idea of what we're going to cover. So again, ask questions along the way, type them in the chat. We'll try to get to them as quickly as we possibly can. First things first, I want to talk just maybe a little bit about who we are, what we do. We already kind of introduced ourselves. Geniya is our badass director of sales for our Frisco location, $17-18 million a year producer, mostly focuses on the investment side. And when I say focuses on the investment side, that is start to finish project management for your buyers as well.
Yep. If you have somebody who's interested in doing investment properties and they don't know what they're doing, they don't know where to start, that's an easy introduction to me and a good phone call.
She's even at the courthouse steps every first Tuesday, buying deals for her buyers, like knows the process upside down, backwards, forwards, and every other way. And then there is me. Again, I run her group DFW here. We're on pace to hopefully do a little over 300 transactions this year. I am the person in that picture, not the dog. I put our email addresses up there. This is actually something we usually do at the end. And our other business partner, Matt Kelderman, is really, really great at doing this. And I'm not as good at it. So I wanted to make a point of doing it today. We do this stuff. We could be doing anything on a Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock and doing other stuff that's dollar productive. We do this stuff because, quite frankly, we have found that in it's a very small world here in the North Texas real estate game, or wherever you're watching this from. And we have found that, quite frankly, our lives, our jobs, everything that we do gets easier when we're able to work with people that we know, like, and trust, just like clients want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. If we can become more educated as an industry, the industry itself as a whole tends to prevail. So we do this stuff because we want people to get better. We want them to get wiser. We want them to serve their clients at a higher level. That makes things on our end easier, that makes the entire profession really, really thrive. So we always put our email addresses right there in the box. And I know that I say this a lot, and Matt says it every time. 99% of you will probably just never do anything with that. I hope that at least 1% of you reach out to us. And if that is, hey, well, let's get coffee and talk about your business. Hey, I've got a quick question about this. Like, whatever, man. I had a dude email me yesterday about how we run our Google ads, and we've spent 3 hours going back and forth talking about different stuff. And because running Google pay-per-click is what we do, is something we do at a really, really high level. We're always happy to answer questions and just kind of, BS around and have fun talking real estate. So we do this because we love talking real estate. We love helping people. So seriously, if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about in your business, even nothing to do with this webinar, email Geniya@hergroup.com, Brian@hergroup.com. We're always here to answer questions, and would love to sit down and even get coffee with you at some point.
And the reality is, if you're struggling with something out there, I promise you, you're not the only one. Yeah. Just like these topics were explored, and we're doing a webinar on this subject because we've been through the struggles, because we've fumbled, because we've fallen, because we've fallen into some good deals. Yep. Right on our stumbling path.
Yeah, so we found
why not share?
Yep, exactly, 100%, guys. So seriously, feel free to reach out to us at any point. We'd love to talk with you. Let's dive in. What do you say? All right,
let's do it.
What the hell's going on in the market right now, Geniya?
Well, every seller is getting $1 billion for their house, and no buyer can get a house.
So this is something I press the team on this. So for perspective, we have about 17 amazing business partners, agent partners on our team right now between our few locations. We talked about this maybe last year, and I was kind of right at the in the heart of the pandemic when we were all really nervous. Like, as soon as April hit last year, I was like, oh no, like, I need to go get another job. Like, we're screwed. I had no idea what was going to happen. Luckily, we ended up having a really, really blessed year, but I didn't know it was going to be that way. I'm fascinated with the world of finance. I'm fascinated with the real estate industry from an economic standpoint. I love understanding the market internals and things like that. It's not really sexy. It's kind of boring stuff. I put it to our team and some other people last year. I was like, look, we've got possibly a looming mortgage forbearance crisis. We've got a lot of other things that are going on. We've got artificially low interest rates, blah, blah, blah. I was like, can somebody just explain to me how the financial crisis of 2008 happened, right? We all know it happened, and we've all probably seen the Big Short movie and all that type of stuff. But like, to be able to explain it, I think is something that is lost. And I think that's really kind of a knock on our profession a little bit. Like, this was something that affected the entire global economy, and most real estate professionals can't even tell you what a mortgage-backed security is, right? And that's kind of sad, I think. So I want to be more on the forefront of this. Why do you think the market is the way that it is right now? What factors are at play?
Keep in mind that a lot of folks, especially in North Dallas, have a hard time relating, even though they were in the market in 2008, because of what an insulated bubble
didn't hit us as hard.
It didn't hit us as hard. The rest of the country, I mean, you can watch the slope and the.
You live in the suburbs of Vegas. I'm sure you probably can articulate
really well
better
what happened.
Okay, that's fair.
Right.
That is fair. I did look it through those lenses.
So just keep in mind, we have a very rosy lens to look through. Right. We're a high-tech area with, hugely higher median incomes and things like that. Sure. So, and our property values didn't drop by tens of percents, right?
Sure.
They stopped growing by 20% year over year.
Our appreciation became very sluggish.
Exactly. Sure. Sluggish, but still on the uptrend. Sure. That's what's nuts.
Sure.
Right.
So right now, what factors are at play? I should say demand is way outpacing inventory right now. We had a deal. We had one of our agent partners, actually, I think it was Kelderman, made an offer on a home that was like $549,900, so $550.
The one in Frisco, yeah.
He offered like 20 or 30 over. guaranteed the appraisal.
Yep.
The final sales price was $100,000 over asking price.
Yes, with a guaranteed appraisal.
With a guaranteed appraisal. That is bananas. What factors are at play here?
The fact that people who otherwise would be in a financial situation in their life where they had to liquidate the property don't need to.
Don't need to or can't. Yes. Either I'm in forbearance and there's some clause against me selling, or I just don't have the equity, or I would, but I'm not making my payments right now, or hadn't been, so it doesn't make any sense for me to sell.
A lot of financial institutions are still very worried about foreclosing on properties.
Sure.
That includes hard money lenders, traditional lenders. I mean, you name it. These are new rules.
Right. And there's some risk in taking assets back onto your balance sheet as well. If you have a chance of allowing that person to get caught up with their payments, you would rather them be paying than have the asset back. Single family residential homes are not a quality asset for banks to have on their books. That's why if you've ever dabbled in the multifamily game or anything like that, it's actually easier for most people to get a loan on a 200 unit apartment complex than it is on a $200,000 home. It's actually way less invasive.
It is. Absolutely. It's less risk.
Because the bank would love to have that asset if they had to foreclose on it. They don't want your 1,500 square foot home.
No. And the chances of them getting some money from your 20 person multifamily is a lot higher than just one person being relied on to make money, and pay their bills.
Charles, you're not wrong about what you're saying either. And greed is what sets off most bubbles and most crashes. In this case, I would say artificially low interest rates as well. There are a lot of parallels to things that have happened earlier. I think that this was kind of forced upon us with the pandemic. The reality is this, guys. We are in a situation where you can have highly qualified, highly willing, highly able buyers ready to go and flat out lose them as clients simply because of your inability, maybe even through no fault of your own whatsoever, to get them under contract on the right home. That is what's going. We could talk all day about market internals and the reasons that different things are happening. That is the reality of what is happening right now. We are having trouble getting clients that want to buy homes into homes. That is a very unique problem, but it is the problem.
And we're not in a world where we just line up 5 showings for Saturday, go show them 5 homes that we know they're going to love, right? Pick one, offer, and okay.
Dude, by the time you get to the 5th house, it's been under contract for 4 hours.
You better make those appointments on your way to the house to make sure they're still available.
So we say that to say, as we kind of want to keep things moving, where do we go get homes for our buyers? The reality is this: there are people that want to sell right now that have some of the same issues that happened back in 2015 when the market was really tight, back in 2004 when the market was really tight. The same thing. I am appreciating at a high level, so I don't want to sell right now, or I would love to sell right now, but X, Y, and Z.
Where am I going to go?
Where am I going to go? I don't want a million people traipsing through my house. I don't want just part of it is the psychology of a seller is such that if I am liquidating an asset and know I'm going to make a lot of money off it, right? That money is not at the forefront of my mind all the time. If I've been living there for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, right? I don't see that money. It's not real to me. It's equity in my home. I don't have the motivation to go and outright inconvenience myself any more than I should, than I want to go sell my asset if I could just keep living there as well. So we have a situation where buyers are heavily motivated. Sellers are not particularly motivated on the same way that buyers are. And that doesn't mean that they don't want to cash out on their assets or they don't want to sell. It means that you've got to make it really, really simple for people.
Absolutely.
And having an off-market buyer matched with an off-market seller is a way to simplify the process for everyone.
And present it to them in an untraditional way,
sure.
I would say, because everyone's seen the billboards, everyone's seen the signs at the corners, we buy houses, cash for houses. That's not new.
No.
There's not a single person, I think, on this webinar or probably in my sphere that hasn't at least seen one of those, right? If you've been in a car, you've seen it.
Man, that was like my first real estate job as a 19-year-old, was putting bandit signs out. After I'd finished my shift at the bar, I would drive around and put bandit signs out.
And was that one of your favorite jobs until this one?
It was my only job until this one.
It means you did a good job.
Exactly. Hey, we made a little money doing it. So that's what's going on right now, guys. We need more opportunities for our buyers to get into homes that they love, because I hate to see people losing clients that are ready, willing, and able to go We just can't find him anything, or we're losing out in multiple offer situations. So how, I kind of just this slide is now self-explanatory. How can off-market deals grow your business?
You can get homes for your buyers. You can get them options, which right now they don't have.
Yes.
They don't have an option to get under contract at the moment. So let's get them options on which house to get under contract.
Yes.
It's going to, by turn, create more listing opportunities.
That's a big one we didn't even really put in kind of even the marketing for this webinar. Off-market deals means more listing opportunities. I'm going to tell you guys something right now, and you can call BS on it if you want. I'll show you our CTE report. We took 20 listings in the month of February. It's a short month that was shortened by Ice-mageddon or Snow-mageddon or whatever you want to call it, the snowpocalypse here in DFW. And I'm not even, I say this like I had anything to do with it. Our wonderful, amazing team, you included, were just kicking ass all of February, finding freaking listings. That is just the other side of off-market deals as well. So it can be a steady source of more options for your buyers. Listings are the name of the game. It's a steady source of listing opportunities.
Right. And we've all heard this before. If you have listings, you have a business.
Yeah.
Right. And right now, those are hard to come by.
Yeah. Straight up.
Right. So,
and we're going to dive into this.
Yep.
Listings are way easier to come by when you already have a buyer form. So we're going to talk about that too. Let's do it. Content creation and social media, our first way to find off-market properties. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to give you all of our secrets right now. Every single thing that we are going to say for the rest of this webinar is going to be some other method that's different than the one before that essentially is just another method by which you can ask for off-market properties and deals. I say that almost in a joking, funny way. The reality is this: human beings only communicate in so many different ways. We all got the same 5 senses. Some of us might have 6, some of us might have 4, but most of us on average have the same 5 senses, right? Which means we communicate in the same exact ways. Everything we talk about here is going to be some form or another way for you to get the message out that you have people ready to go, or you need options, you need inventory, you need to ask for deals. If I am getting online today, let's just use any platform, we'll say Facebook, right? How am I using social media right now as a platform for me to find off-market deals for my buyers or off-market listings?
All right. Story time.
Story time.
Story time. So I made these really pretty graphics that described my buyers' needs.
Okay.
Right? Specific to the type of lot, the general area, and the price point.
Okay.
And it was, they're pretty, right? So pretty graphics work. Come on now.
People like pretty stuff.
They do. Post it on
Canva,
Facebook.
bro. Did you use Canva?
Hell yeah, I use Canva, man. Why wouldn't I use Canva?
Free version.
It's the prettiest.
There we go.
And I posted on my social media, and guess how many calls, comments, texts I got?
How many calls, texts, or comments did you get?
0.
0?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it was coming from me, and everyone's used to seeing real estate stuff from me, right? And so I sat back and thought, okay, well, first of all, rude, right? Let's start with, why didn't anyone call, comment, or text me?
Right.
So then I kind of sat back, and I had a buyer who was looking in a specific neighborhood, and there was just nothing in this neighborhood.
Sure.
Nothing. And we've all been through this. This isn't new.
Right.
So what I did is I reached out to somebody in my extended sphere. Right. We're not going to name names because we do drink on the side of the soccer field at our 6-year-olds games.
Fair enough.
Which is what everybody does. Don't let people lie.
I don't have a kid, so that'd be weird for me to do.
You can come to our games.
That's fair. I'll paint my face and everything.
I don't know if you need to. Just bring a Yeti with liquor and you'll fit right in.
Okay, fair enough.
And I reached out to one of these parents, and I know they live in this neighborhood, right? Because we've been on the same team for 6, 10, whatever months. And I said, hey, would you do me a favor? Like, this is going to sound crazy, but I have this amazing family that really wants to be in this neighborhood.
Right.
And she says, sure. Well, what do you need me to do? And I said, just post on your neighborhood Facebook page that I have a friend who's an agent who has an awesome family. Is anybody thinking about selling?
Really? So you did something super simple and asked
free,
and you asked for people to help you find deals.
Right.
And guess what happened? Your network of people that know, like, and trust you, were they much obliged to help?
They were amazing. So said buyers are now under contract for a house that we would have never even seen it on the radar of MLS. It would have gone bloop, boop, like gone.
Never would have had a shot at it.
No, absolutely not. Not only that, but I had 5 other people reach out to me and use the magic phrase that I keep hearing these last 2 months. For the right price, I'd sell my house.
For the right price, I'd sell my house. Of course.
We can do that.
Say, if there's ever a market where for the right price is going to work, whatever that price is still probably a discount from the open market.
Whatever it is, right? I'll get you 5% over.
Sure.
You know?
So I want to unpack that, right? Like I said, a lot of this stuff is just going to be kind of self-deprecating because it's just funny ways to do the same thing, and that is ask for deals. There is something we could do a whole other 2-hour class on just social media stuff and what we actually do. So stay tuned for maybe the next webinar. Who knows, right? It's just another way to ask for off-market deals. Now, when you are on your own profile, on your own page, when you're putting out your own content, yes, of course, you want to keep that 4-to-1 ratio for lifestyle, more you lifestyle type comment to every one real estate post that you do. But regardless, people still expect you to post real estate stuff pretty much all the time. It's not a unique request from you. There's a lot of white noise online, right? So whenever you kind of get into your groove, as it were, people start to tend to see your content as kind of the same repetitions over and over again.
It's what's expected.
Yes.
They know that you're in real estate if you've done even a half-assed job of representing yourself on social media, right?
Yeah. Surely so it's not a pattern interrupt.
Exactly.
That's
what it needed to be. It needed to be a pattern interrupt. It needed to come from somebody who's never posted anything about real estate before because they don't give a shit about real estate.
And so that's a pattern. Exactly. That becomes a pattern interrupt for their entire audience. So if you need off-market deals and you want it to free and you want it to be online, why don't you try by reaching out to your 50 closest people in your database and asking if they will post for you, saying, hey,
and have them put it in their words.
Sure. Don't make it. Yeah.
Right. Don't make, because it's going to sound like a commercial. No doubt people are going to overlap. Right. So now you've got 5 friends posting the same exact sentence.
Exactly.
And it wasn't about that. It was a genuine plea for help from somebody that I knew had the resource that I didn't, because their HOA Facebook page is really tight, like big security.
Right.
and so I knew that she can tap into a resource that I don't have access to. Can I get in front of all those people with a paid sponsorship advertisement? Of course. I know the zip code. I know how to draw a radius, like simple.
But your engagement on that is going to be minuscule. It's
completely different. Exactly. This is coming from a neighbor whose name they've seen, whose profile picture they see, who they see at the pool, whose kids they know, who go to school together, right? And so here's this nice lady saying, hey guys, like I have a friend who has an awesome family. Now, this was an honest request. I'm not saying go to every friend that lives in an awesome neighborhood and say, hey, I have a qualified buyer.
Sure.
Because when you don't deliver, when you don't deliver the first time, no one's going to believe you again.
That's actually just an absolute truism that I'm going to relate to a couple other things with social media. But yes, this is an easy way to get a lot of responses. If you don't have something for those responses, then that's going to be a really, really short-lived success pattern.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you actually respond to people and that you have a legit buyer to follow it up with.
Well, exactly. And we had a specific need for this buyer. They needed to be in a 1-story. A couple of the folks that reached out that used the phrase, for the right price, I would sell. They had 2 stories. And I said, you know what? Thank you so much for reaching out. Like, that is so awesome of you. Thank you for being so neighborly. This family really loves them. It's going to be a great addition to your street, right? However, this particular house isn't a great fit for them.
Right.
But what do you mean by right price?
Sure.
Right. And there's doors wide open. If you don't want to have that conversation, I'm not going to push it because your house doesn't work for what I need anyway.
Right.
You'll definitely be on my list of people to reach back out to. But if you have that magic number, it's March 2021, you'll probably get it.
So let me ask you this. Let's talk about, because I want to dive into some other stuff with social media, but let's flip the script first. If I'm looking for listings, right? Because what we've been doing a lot lately, which is seen pretty cool results. We're just doing kind of the same thing, but just on the listing side, right? Like I'm just having that conversation up front. I'm putting out their content out that's either live videos or statuses or memes or whatever that is. essentially what is your right price to sell your home. We've actually gotten some great responses. I've had a lot of friends from, back in whatever, and it's actually turned into quite a few listing appointments, and maybe even I refer all of my appointments to awesome people on the team. And I think we actually have some listings on the market right now that have come just from stuff like that. But again, going back to that principle of I'm in real estate, it's me doing it. So a lot of people just kind of just passes them by as white noise. Mm-hmm. What if I did that exact same thing, but I did it on the listing side? Like, what if I got my top 15, 20 closest people and I'm like, look, I need more listings for my buyers, or I just want to help 100 families or whatever it is this year buy or sell homes, and people's homes are selling for an insane amount of money right now. Would you do me a favor and post something to the extent of, if someone offered you X amount for your home, or if somebody offered you fill in the blank for the home, would you sell it today? Or what would that X be? Or what would that blank be? If you had people that weren't in real estate asking that on their profiles, that again becomes that pattern interrupt where they're like, oh, Jeff doesn't usually post like that. You're going to get way more run because it's a pattern. It's people that aren't in real estate. And now you've got basically people that know, like, and trust you, almost working for you in a sense, to kind of help identify people that would sell for the right price. And right now, that's kind of the thing, is we stand very close to the mirror. We just assume that everybody knows what's going on in the real estate market. Most people don't know their house can sell for just an insane amount more than it probably would have 2 years ago.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. People are starting to realize it. I had a friend of mine contact me and say, hey, a house went on the market down the street from our house. And it was the weirdest thing. It was 1 million people just constantly.
I see pictures all the time of people lining up outside.
There's a line outside the door. What in the world is going on? And I'm like, have you considered selling your house today?
And then guess what happens with that line out the door? Who sees it? The neighbors. What should you be doing before and after every open house? Going and talk to the neighbors. That's more off-market listings.
And it doesn't just need to be your open house. There's no reason, just because you don't have a listing, right, doesn't mean you don't not know that a listing was multiple offers. I mean, most of us put that in the MLS. Multiple offers received, deadline of blah, 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 right? Why not take that day, go knock on the neighbors' doors and go, guys, they had like 35 offers. That means 34 people still need a house on this street in this neighborhood. Yeah,
100%. 100%. So guys, utilize your existing network, create some pattern interrupts there. You don't always have to be the one posting the content, but man, what if you rewarded all of your amazing A's in your sphere, or whoever it was that was helping you by posting on their profiles and generating some buzz? Man, you take those people out to dinner once a month and celebrate. Now you turn it into a networking event or a client appreciation event or whatever as well. All this stuff works in tandem.
So that friend of mine that posted in her neighborhood page, I was saying that I was out eating sushi and drinking pretty late last night, kind of with my husband on a double date. That's who I took out.
Oh, see, there you go.
That's what I took out. And she's like, well, which house did they end up buying? And I said, it's a secret for now. And she goes, why? I'm like, we're still in option. And as soon as option ended, I'm like, you want to go to dinner? I'll tell you the address.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was great.
Nice.
And that's not why she did it, right? But it's just that incentive of, this is good people. This is people you want to go have a drink with. Yes. You want to go grab dinner with, right?
And everybody's going to help you with this. If any one of your friends came up and was like, hey, could you spend 5 minutes typing on a computer to help me in my career?
And that's the point.
Unless you're the biggest jerk in the world, of course you can do that.
Right. And that's the point. She's like, when we're talking the A's that, bail you out of jail, the B's that you call for dinner, that would know your name. So she's not an A. We don't spend a bunch of time together.
Really?
We see each other once a week.
Yeah.
Twice a week at practice.
Sure, and that's it, games. Really.
And that's it. But we have a good relationship. This is a good acquaintance, right? This wasn't like a bestie. I was like, hey, do me a solid. This is an acquaintance.
Man, see, that's proof positive right there. That stuff like
absolutely.
That works. That's awesome. I love that. So utilize your existing network, have them help you, right? The other thing is this. So we live in North Texas, but I think probably most people on this webinar do as well. This is another thing that it sounds self-deprecating because it's so simple and so easy. Guys, get into the right groups and ask questions. Just here in North Texas, if I scroll down to my groups list, I'm probably in 50 different groups where off-market properties are bought and sold every single day, right? And this is where we need to get out of our own minds or get out of our own heads and maybe having a mindset adjustment here sometimes. Like sometimes when things seem so easy, we just don't do them, right? The reality is I have found more off-market deals in places like DFW Off-Market Properties group on Facebook. Who freaking knew, right? Then I know what to do with. There's caveats to it, right? You're going to have a lot of, every Tom, Dick, and Harry in there. Sometimes you're going to have wholesalers with prices, that are way too high, or ARVs that are way too off, or rehab costs that don't make any sense. You're going to have to kind of, fumble through some stuff. That's not even the point. The point is to ask questions and put out your needs, right? These are Facebook groups with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people that want to do what you want to do, meaning they want to be on the other side of your transaction. If you have buyers that you can't find properties for, they want to go find them. They're going to get their fee if it's a wholesale deal, or they're going to get their commission if it's an agent or whatever, but they want to help you. So get in there and ask questions. Tell people what your needs are.
Right, because then you have 100 people who otherwise you would have never asked and never would have known your need, looking to fill your need.
And guess what? You're also generating and building relationships with people who probably will have deals in the future. When you start to see this stuff as a systematic process, meaning I'll tell you the way that we do it. I'll tell you for our wholesale company, every time we have a new deal, do you want to know one of the ways we continue to grow our massive buyers list?
I would love to know, Brian. Please tell us.
Well, wait, there's more. We put them out in every single investment group that we possibly can, right?
Yep.
Even though most of people are kind of just seeing stuff over, like it's the same people, right? Every single time, at least 100 new people comment their email addresses for more information, because we don't put all the information on the Facebook post. We don't put the address. We don't put any of that stuff, right? And then guess what we do? One of our lovely VAs, and this is a system that we've created, just goes and takes every one of those email addresses, puts them into our MailChimp account, into our buyers list, and puts them everywhere else, into our Boomtown and everywhere else they need to be. Guess what happens with those buyers? Now they see all of our properties every single time after that. That is a very simple system by which we are able to sell our wholesale deals or our listings or whatever, right? By just simply having a VA go and capture that information. If other people are smart and doing that on the other end, you're going to end up on a whole bunch of people's buyers list as well, right? That's not a bad thing. You can easily unsubscribe if you don't want to get pounded with stuff. But trust me, I am probably on 200 different wholesalers lists.
Oh, at least.
And I find a lot of good stuff in there.
Absolutely. And you learn, right? These are networks that usually are created over time.
Yes.
So there are wholesalers that I've worked with several times. There are some that I've never worked with, but intend to.
Sure.
Because one way or another, if you're big enough and you do this enough and you keep beating your head against a wall, something's going to get through. Yeah. Right. And that's the reality. You have some wholesalers where as soon as I see the subject line, I'm like, nope, delete. Not because I don't trust the wholesaler, but because that deal is not formed.
This is an area type of deal. Yeah, exactly. We all have our specifics. Type of deal,
right? Area, price point, right? Some of my clients don't want to dabble in small price points because that's just not where they're comfortable in. Yeah, but I want to continue to receive them because one of these times the email is going to pop up that has the right verbiage in the subject that I am going to open and look through. Sometimes I like to open and look through them so that way I learn from them.
Yes.
Never are we in this business so long that we don't have someone to learn from. If that's 100%. The case, like you're in trouble. But I want to see how they presented. Yeah. I want to see how they, I want to see their numbers. Yeah. I want to know, okay, so you're saying ARV is this, purchase is this, rehab is this. Did you have a calculator? Or, hey, those are great margins. You know?
I mean, if anything, it's just another great educational exercise as well, right? So those I want to kind of make sure that we continue to kind of get through this. As far as paid or non-paid social media goes, it is that simple, guys. I wish that it was more complicated, because that means if it was more complicated, less people would do it, and I'd be willing to do it still, so we'd have an advantage. We don't. Anybody could do this. Utilize your existing network of people to go out and find more deals. Utilize the existing infrastructure that has already organically been built through Facebook to go out and find more deals. Put out your needs and be responsive, right? I will end with this on social media. Come through and respond to everybody. I think that's really, really important. What this is probably, if you've been kind of turned off by Facebook stuff in the past, this is probably an experience that you've had. You put something out there, somebody says, oh yeah, send me info. And then that person ghosts you or never responds or whatever. And I understand that that's not going to happen. Like, not everybody's always going to respond to you all the time. But I will tell you this, for somebody that's been wholesaling deals since I was 19 years old and been in real estate as an agent for almost a decade now, I am so much more likely to continue to try and send opportunity to people that are courteous enough to build a relationship with me. And a lot of times building relationships starts with just being responsive, right?
Absolutely. I would rather email you a couple of times and then send a quick text checking in like, hey, wanted to make sure you got my email, reach out at any time. This is my cell, save it.
If you want off-market deals, build yourself a network. It is easy enough to build a network. The way that you do it is put out a need and field the responses. Even if the responses do not fit your criteria, thank that person, ask to be put on their buyers list, ask to be kept in mind for the next off-market deal they have, blah, 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 whatever. If you build
send
a
them
track
a PM
record
after and say, hey, thanks again for answering. I know this one might not work, but I'm sure we'll do great things down the road.
Act like a human being.
Imagine that.
Right? Don't act too systematic like a robot, because then you'll just be another name on a social media platform. Treat people with the respect and courtesy. And I don't mean the respect and courtesy like it's rude not to respond. I get it. People get a million responses and not everybody's going to get a reply or whatever. But if you can go above and beyond to do that, it goes a very long way. Start conversations with people. Ask people what they've been doing to find other deals, things like that. Start to build a network around that. And honestly, it starts to grow so quickly.
Yeah, just be genuine. That's going to get you really far with both your sphere for finding things just through people but also with wholesalers and pretty much anybody that can acquire a deal for you on either
throw the slide up now because we're just segueing organically. Look, we're so on point. We're organically segueing to wholesalers. Next up, wholesalers.
Perfect. It's like this was planned.
Exactly. So with wholesalers.
Yes. So with wholesalers, what's interesting is most people assume that it's only going to be properties that you need to invest in. So you need to either be a cash buyer or you need to have plans to either renovate, flip, long-term hold, rent, multifamily. The reality is, in this day and age, any seller that's even semi-aware of what's happening in the market throws off all the numbers for wholesalers.
Yes.
So now the verbiage, you can even see it over the course of, I want to say about the last 5 weeks or so, the verbiage in most wholesale emails that I get has changed. And it becomes, I know.
How's that?
Here's how it's changed. It's gone from move-in ready rental. Right?
Okay.
Or long-term hold, or money producing, or cap rate is. So what I know before I answer or reply to that email or even open it and read it all the way through is that the margin is not going to be there to flip it.
Right.
Right. So my investors are going to have no interest unless they're looking for a long-term hold.
Sure.
Right. Now, step back and think about it from a different perspective. If I know on our team, we've got a need for a buyer in such and such a zip code for such and such property, and one of these hits my inbox and I know it's not going to work for the investors that I'm looking for, right? Why not take a look at it from a different perspective? Now, when I open the pictures, I'm going, okay, is it easy enough to move into for the end user?
Right.
A coat of paint or nothing.
Sure.
I mean, some of these properties that the wholesalers pick up literally are turnkey, and that's what they mean.
This is wholetailing, basically. Yeah.
And I think that that's an untapped source for people who need properties for their buyers.
Yes.
I really believe that.
That is super true. So to dive a little bit deeper on that, I will tell you, just as somebody who lives on the opposite side as well and has, run a wholesale company for a pretty substantial period of time now. Wholesalers can be the best and the worst, and the worst give the best a bad reputation. And like, guys, this is just like real estate agents. It's like everything, right?
It's like everyone.
It's like real estate agents too. We're the best example. Like, I'm a real estate agent. I kind of think 90% of real estate agents suck sometimes, right? Yep. And I'm probably in that 90% sometimes, right? But I also know that they're the ones that give the 10% at the top who are real serious pros. They make an uphill battle for them. There are wholesalers out there that are freaking good at what they do. You are going to have to go through some stuff to really find that core list of people that you want to work with over and over and over again. The reality is, like I said before, the barriers to entry to get into wholesaling is so low that you're going to have people that, quite frankly, are just learning how to get properties under contract, not really learning on how to market them efficiently, be truthful about the numbers. And a lot of times it's not even personal or purposeful. It's inadvertent. They just have no idea what reno costs. And they just think everything costs $50,000, even if it's 200 grand.
Or they don't adjust for their prices.
Sure. Yeah. They don't adjust for finishes and things like that.
Right.
Sure.
Or even from 6 months ago.
Right. Yeah.
Lumber, windows, everything.
Yeah, just the cost of material.
Double everything you knew 6 months ago, and you'll be close.
Yes, they don't keep a close enough pulse on the internals and the things that affect the variables that can affect reno costs and things like that.
Because a lot of times they're not actually working with the people who are doing the reno.
Yes.
They're looking at it from, okay, well, we can just come in here and slap some paint on it and do this. But as somebody who actually does renovations, you know that's your starting point.
Sure.
That's step one. Right?
So that being said, two things on this. Wholesaling can be a great way to find off-market, wholesalers can be a great way to find off-market properties right now for a couple of different reasons. When we think about wholesalers, we always think about the worst homes you can ever imagine, right? Like they're all just, all beat up and all that type of stuff. I mean, we could show a Facebook Live video of Geniya and Kelderman walking through a property that got hit, unfortunately. And I know it's not funny because the family is we're trying to help them really get through some stuff with insurance right now. Our house got hit by lightning. It doesn't have a roof anymore. It's insane, right? That's what people think of a lot of times when they think about wholesale deals. It's just like the worst of the worst. And if my buyers are not ready for a major renovation, then wholesaling is not going to work. It's not true. I can tell you as a wholesaler, right? There are two different types of distress. There is property distress and there is personal distress, right? A lot of the deals that we do are in personal distress situations, meaning, you know what, this is a divorce scenario and we just want out or whatever, which is a pre-foreclosure. This is a will that's being probated. It could be this is a vacant old rental of mine that I just don't feel like being a landlord anymore. Tired landlords are a great place to get deals. You can get really great homes in great condition as a wholesaler if you're looking in the right places. And so what I mean is, it is much easier as a wholesaler getting started to find distressed properties because distressed properties, usually there's less motivation.
I mean, you can see usually from the exterior.
Yeah. So. Well, it's just a little bit easier. They're usually easier situations, right? I'll show up at an appointment and it's like, the property is completely destroyed. The seller's pretty realistic about the fact that it's destroyed. We might have an easier conversation, so on and so forth. If I show up at the property for a person who might be in a distressed situation, meaning, they have some financial stuff they need to figure out, things like that. I have to have a lot of tact, a lot of empathy. I need to understand how I can help this person. And if the solution to helping this person is to liquidate the property, we've got to understand the process of that. It's not always as easy as just write an offer and just there you go. So there's a lot that goes into it. But if you're willing to do the work, you can find some really, really great properties in great condition that you will then turn around and wholesale. So I'm saying that to say, wholesalers are an amazing way to find off-market properties. Also, it takes a little digging through and getting on a lot of wholesalers' lists to find the ones that are probably the ones you're going to do repeat business with.
And for the folks that don't currently get millions of emails like I do,
sure.
Here's the best way to start. Honestly, pick some of the bigger companies, and we'll be happy to share those with you.
Yeah,
100%. Every single day.
Email addresses again, we'll share them again at the end. Shoot us an email, and we'll shoot to the people that we currently kind of have on our lists.
Yep. And so what I do, the first thing I do, especially when I have a property that maybe is not in an area that I specialize in, right? So I've got some folks looking for land out in an area. I'm well versed in it, but I'm not going to be driving around looking for sale by owner signs, right? It's just not going to happen. And so what I do is I reach out to the wholesalers. Mm-hmm. I've built a relationship with them. They expect to hear from me. That relationship is not always built in a good way. Sometimes it's me replying and going, where did you get these numbers? Sure. Show me your comps, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Or how did you come up with this reno cost? Just based on pictures, it's double that, right? Because what I want to do is I want them to know, first of all, that I'm very serious about what I do, that I do speak the language, and that I'm going to call them on their bullshit. Not because I'm trying to make enemies, but because this is how mutual respect in this business sometimes is built.
Yeah.
I have wholesalers that I've worked with for 3-4 years that know I'm good for the money. If I make an offer, it's cash in the bank,
Sure.
Right? I will always close. There's never going to be a back and forth. Hey, we want to ask for repairs. No, this isn't.
I mean,
deal.
you have motivated buyers, just like there are a lot of agents working with motivated buyers out there. So.
Exactly. Right. And I have that list, and they know that if they bring me a deal and if they bring it to me first, they're probably going to get top dollar without needing to kind of go through the bells and whistles. It'll be a fast close, all cash. Yes. But the reality is I can email those people and say, hey, I know I've seen a wholesale deal from you in that zip code. Here's what I need.
Right.
And what they'll do is they'll actually actively look for that deal for you. They spend good money, because even if, just like social media posts, even if they don't, if they find 1 for me and 6 for them, that's a good return on their investment.
It's just like what we do with our buyers as assets. That's why we do so many mailers and automations and stuff that go out to neighborhoods and stuff. If we have buyers looking in those neighborhoods, because I would love to bring a buyer for every single home, but if we can bring a buyer for 1 home and then 10 other homes that buyer wasn't right for, also want to sell, we'll take that too.
Right. The long and short of it is the fact that those wholesalers need to be part of your sphere. Yes. There's no reason why somebody who's experienced in finding off-market properties isn't looking for off-market properties for my buyers. Like, it's insane to waste that resource.
It's insane to waste that resource. And it goes back to, again, this is perfect, right? So Tony Pratt, we'll make sure that we get a list out to you today, man, a little bit later. Thanks for putting that in there. He just messaged me to ask for some wholesaling lists. It's the same thing that we just talked about with social media. Be a human being and you will build a network. What people tend to do is they go get on a whole bunch of wholesale lists. And the way to get on a wholesale list is really, really easy. Either
give them your email.
Give them your email address, right? You can do it. Go on Facebook. They're going to post all of their deals on Facebook groups and stuff like that. Drop your email. You'll get on the list. Google, cash home buyers in North Texas or cash home buyers in whatever your area is, right? Guarantee you there's going to be 15 different wholesale companies that come up. Go to their website, get on their list, whatever. Be a human being. By that, I mean, right? Build those relationships. If I am going and getting on a wholesaler's list and they're sending me stuff that's not right for my buyer at a particular time, it's really easy for me to blend into the background and just be like, you know what? I'll just wait for the right deal to come along. I'm on enough lists. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to get really boring going through all the properties that come through your desk every day. You're going to start to unsubscribe from stuff because it's just too overwhelming. And 2, no one's ever going to know who you are because you're being a voyeur. You're a voyeur. How do I say that, right? You're being a voyeuristic, right? You're just watching. You're not doing anything, right?
They don't know you exist.
Respond
they
to people.
You're on the list.
Exactly.
They literally forgot you're on the list.
They're not looking at their list every time they send it out. They're sending an audit. They're sending it in an automated way out to a list. Respond. Build a relationship with these people. Say, hey, Jeff, I appreciate all the stuff that you send me on your list. Here's what I'm really looking for right now for my buyers. Do you think you could find this for me, right? Do that with 15 or 20 wholesalers. Guess what they're going to go do? They're going to go try to find that, because even if it doesn't work for you, it's still a deal for them.
Absolutely.
It's still a deal for them.
Also, go to the showings. So a lot of wholesalers will have a one-time showing. It's a designated date and time. It's usually for an hour. That's when everybody's invited to kind of come out. And a lot of times that's what the email will have in it, is the information for the actual showing. Go out, shake hands, or you know, elbow bump, whatever people are doing these days.
Elbow bump, smileys, just like, hey.
Right. Just meet people. So that way they know you're a real person. They know you're reading their email. They know that you're responding. And now they're going to be much more likely to want to work with you specifically, because unlike the 1,000 other people who got the email, you came out, you said, hey, and now that I take a look at this house, it's not a good fit, or maybe I can find a buyer, right? Just something. It establishes the relationships. It puts a face to the name.
Yep.
It makes you a real person. So it's easier to work with real people.
And I'm just going to also, like, this should be, this should go without saying, but everything, like, I just feel like it's important to mention everything that we're saying right now. If you're sitting here thinking like, man, this just seems like a lot of stuff to do to try and find deals for my buyers. Guess who you're also finding deals for? By building this network and building these relationships and doing some of this work. Who else are you finding deals for?
Your teammates.
Hopefully yourself, your team, like, right? The reality, all we're teaching you right now is how to find off-market opportunities, right? If you're going, oh my gosh, I only got 3 buyers that are really ready to go. This seems like hours and hours and hours of work to go find off-market deals. Dum, this is for you as well, right? This is for you to invest in real estate as well. Almost all of the investment properties I've ever had in my life have come through channels, something similar to this, either a relationship that I've built, a wholesale deal, whatever it is. You're building an infrastructure and a habit stack, a set of habits around communicating your needs to people that might be able to fulfill them, and building relationships at a deeper level so that opportunities come your way, whether or not you have the buyers that are ready to go right now. You may end up being the buyer if the opportunity is right.
And so there's this weird myth, I think, in a lot of people's heads about wholesale deals that they're making too much money. Here's the reality of it. I don't care how much money they make. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'll tell you, any good investor doesn't.
For one reason and one reason only. If the math makes sense to me, from the price I can pay to the price I can invest and sell, why do I care how much they made?
I will tell you, as an agent, investor, and I guess and wholesaler as well, I hope that anybody that I'm buying a deal from is making as much money as possible, so that they will be motivated
to do it again. Yes. Imagine that.
Can you imagine a business partnership where everybody makes money and is really happy?
Right. Can you imagine a really good wholesaler who's really good at what they do and constantly loses money but continues to do it?
No. Right? Of course not. But I can imagine one that makes a lot of money and then gives opportunities to people that are going to come back and buy 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 properties a year from them.
Absolutely. And then why not be in business with them directly?
Yeah. That's kind of like what we're talking about with our company. So anyway, all right. Wholesalers. I think it's easy enough. I'm going to move on here. I got so much stuff going on my computer screen right now. It's too much. Reshare the screen. This is one we're going to dive a little bit deeper. Data aggregation, building lists with plays. And Genia's just do that motion again. She's like, this is you, Brian.
This is all you.
So this is kind of funny. So I'm not going to dive too terribly deep on this. We may actually do a totally different segment or webinar on this at some point. When I talk about data aggregation, building lists, things like REI source, things like this, we're just talking about different methods of finding people wherever they are at a point in time where you may be the first or one of the first to find them. Okay. And there are many different ways that you can do this. This becomes a whole different lead generation mechanism for you, for your real estate business, that can help you fulfill the needs not only of your current buyers in the future, and be somebody that can bring more value to the community, help individuals on a deeper level, and build your listing inventory as well. So essentially what I'm talking about is doing something similar to what we do on our real estate team as well as on the wholesale side. And that is doing a lot of data aggregation, pulling a lot of information that is normally publicly available to find people that may be in a situation where they have become motivated to sell a property. Okay. So I will start with some of the most basic ways that we do this, right? You can find resources that will pull all of the lists from some of the kind of, I would say, the 4 major categories that are kind of the most popular to find people in distressed situations. That is going to be people that are going into pre-foreclosure. Okay, so they have a certain amount of a certain time that they have been delinquent, and that they are now starting the foreclosure process. Substitute trustees, which is a great one. Whenever you get foreclosed on, without getting overly complicated, essentially the bank is a lien holder and can't foreclose on itself. So they appoint a substitute trustee who they will then foreclose on, and that is publicly filed. So anytime you see a substitute trustee appointed, you know that person's probably about to get foreclosed on. Affidavit of Airship is another one. So that would be when somebody passes away, unfortunately, without a will, and they have to do an affidavit of airship and find the next of kin, essentially whoever's going to be owning that property. You can pull lists for things like that as well. Probates would be the 4th one. That is when someone passes away with the will, and you would be talking with the next of kin about their plans for the home. I'm going to dive into some more examples, but right there, those are 4 major ones. There are resources. I'll just give a shout out for free. They're not even sponsoring this webinar. We use Propelio. Propelio is a great company that originated by some investors here in North Texas. They have a great automation system that pulls lists from just about every city in Dallas, Collin, Denton, Tarrant, Rockwall, Grayson counties, I think, every single day. And you're going to get that information. Now, what you do with that information is entirely up to you. I will tell you right out of the gate, we do a lot of automated stuff with those lists. The first thing we do is skip trace them. We have a person that does it in-house now that we legitimately just found on Fiverr a long time ago. And now we kind of pay them outside of their Fiverr jobs because we send them a whole lot of business. But it's relatively cost effective. I wouldn't say relatively. It's very, very cost effective. You can skip trace. And when I say skip trace, if for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, skip tracing is just finding the phone numbers. If you have an address and an owner's name, you could skip trace it and find the phone number. So you'll have people out there that buy very, very, very expensive software that probably wouldn't be cost effective for you to buy on their own, but they have it and they serve tons of people. So not just you, but they're skip tracing for a lot of people. So with the economies of scale, it makes sense for them to just have the software and charge a fee for them to skip trace for you. So we just do that, right? We take the list every single day. I say we, again, building systems. One of our amazing VAs, Joan, pulls the list every single day, sends it to the skip tracer. She also gets the skip tracer's list from the day before, uploads it, and fires off an automation as well. And then our phone dialers, we have an ISA, and then we have one of our agents that works on the wholesale side. It kind of splits time between both, and he will just dial pretty much all day. That system, that ideology can be applied to so many different things. So those are just four of the easiest ones, right? Pre-foreclosure, subtrust, affidavit of airship, and probate are really, really easy. You can get so much deeper. One of the ways to think about this, and this is where you can actually get pretty creative with this stuff.
Absolutely.
And I like to have some fun with it.
Yep.
If you start to put yourself into the mind of, and I say this as a businessman. I want to talk about everything we talk about with some empathy, right? If you put yourself into the mind of somebody who may be in a certain situation that they need help from, a distressed situation, or that they might have a distressed property, you can start to think about the other things that they are going through and the other things that may happen before they end up on one of those other lists. For example, if I'm in pre-foreclosure, my foreclosure process has already started.
Right.
The reality is some other things probably didn't go right along the way recently.
Correct.
And so I may be on some other lists before then. I will tell you right now, and again, this is why we're such open books. This requires a lot of work. And I'll tell you all of our secrets, because if you go out and recreate them, more power to you. You're a badass and you were able to do a whole lot of heck of hard stuff to get in there. But we pull water shutoff lists are a great one. Really, really crazy this month, because of the people that we pulled from last month, because a lot of people will shut their water off because of Snowmageddon.
Right.
So it was a little crazy.
The numbers are a little bit skewed right now.
Yeah.
So traditionally.
On a month-to-month basis, this works really well. Right. We have so whatever your state is, this might be a little bit different. Actually, the guys from Propelio on their YouTube channel, I don't ever want to take credit for anything I didn't come up with. I basically ripped this off of them. They do a great job of this. If you ever go and watch Propelio TV, it's their YouTube channel. Daniel Moore does a really, really great, like about an hour and a half video on exactly how he does this, which I just kind of mimicked. You essentially can go, according to the Texas Public Information Act, it is public information for whoever's had their water shut off. It's always filed with the city. So this takes some time. This is not at the county level. This is at the city level. So if you want to list, we essentially have, I have my assistant, Kristen, who's awesome, poll lists the first week of every single month. So she just finished polling for March, the February list. So you can get like the last 30 days, or you can get just last month, the 1st through the 28th of February or whatever. You have the legal right to request that information from every single city that you want in Texas. Okay. It might be redacted. So meaning they might have removed the owners' names and you only get the addresses, but you can get the information. Where this becomes tricky is you have to go to every city's website, and I don't have a way around this, guys. It is a pain in the ass. I could send you my spreadsheet, but quite frankly, I built it on my own. It took a long time, and I don't want to give it away. You can go to every city's website, and there are like 3 different ways that this works. Echo. There are like 3 different ways that this works. Either the city website itself will have an online portal where you can simply request the water shutoff list through. like Dallas, Fort Worth, Carrollton. I think a lot of those places are all online portals. And then those are really simple. Within about 24 to 48 hours, you submit a request through their online portal, and they will send you a water shutoff list from the time period that you requested. I usually just try to do it on a rolling monthly basis, right? The other way that it happens is you actually have to submit a PDF document. So there'll be like a request form, right? So
right.
it's
this is for your smaller towns.
Yeah, this is.
And that's when your turnaround time isn't really 24 to 48 hours.
No.
It's like 10 business days with like some emails that say it's going to be longer.
Exactly. So and I'll speak to the systemization part of this at the end. It's why it's really important to build a system around this for some of your smaller towns. And small, I don't even mean like small, like 10 people. I mean, like you have towns like, of 30, 40,000 people that are still using this mechanism. You will essentially go to their website. You'll do an there's two ways, depending on how you search on how their website defines it. There's a couple of different ways that you could do this. You can search for an open records request, a public information request, like something to that effect. If you type in those two things in the search box, open records request or public information request, it will take you to the page on their website that shows you how to do that. So it'll either be the online portal, or they'll have a web page that's like, you need to print this out, fill it out, and email it to this person. It's really, really simple. You just say, hey, I'm requesting a water shutoff list from February 1st to February 28th. Here's my PDF, request form or whatever. You will very, very rarely get any pushback whatsoever. You shouldn't. This isn't something that people really request really often. So if anything, it maybe just takes people by surprise sometimes. If they ever give you any pushback whatsoever, just very politely but professionally say, according to the Texas Public Information Act, this is public information. You can actually go to... if you just Google Texas Public Information Act, it will go and you can download the handbook that actually has the guidelines, and you can be like, according to Texas Public Information Act, Section B, line, whatever, you can actually recite that if you wanted to. But normally, if you just respond back to them, they'll be like, oh, okay, and they'll give it to you. So we do this for about 75 cities. It's a pain.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I would say, again, to make this systematic, if you have a little bit of money in your budget and this is something that you want to do on a recurring basis, which I think it should be, even though you're just going to become a direct competitor of mine, I think there's enough room in there for everybody to be successful. It's a great way to find listings as well, right? Again, you have to have tact. You have to have empathy for people's situations. They're going through some stuff, but a lot of people that you're going to come across, the water shutoff list, code violations, stuff like that, if you dig through it, you're going to find a lot of really, really motivated people.
Absolutely. And this is where it's going to also be helpful to get in touch with somebody like me who specializes on that end, or even a great wholesaler that hopefully by now you have a good relationship with.
Sure.
Because they're going to be able to help you really put the numbers together to make this a win-win, because at no point does anybody need to be screwed over for there to be a good deal. And that's what we need to keep remembering. It's not about screwing somebody over so that way someone else can win out.
Yeah, exactly. And then so to kind of get back just to the technical side of this, there's some things I don't want to forget, because if you guys go out and do this, I want to make sure that I'm providing as much information as possible. One of the first things that you're going to run into is these lists are not scrubbed. Okay, so you go get a water shutoff list from last month. Well, people get their water shut off when they move too, right? So anytime I sell my house, the city's going to shut off my water and then transfer the water into the new person's name. So you need to find a way, if you have MLS access, if obviously we're talking about, I feel like I'm doing a wholesale webinar right now. We're doing it. Obviously everybody has an MLS.
If you don't get it.
If you don't have MLS access, get that hooked up. You can just take a list from that city for whatever time period you're requesting. You could just take a list from the MLS from that city of homes that have sold in that time, and then just Google it. Google how to cross-reference stuff in Excel. Download an Excel spreadsheet and cross-reference it to the water shutoff list spreadsheet that the city sent you, and you can remove all of the homes in bulk that have actually been sold. Again, this takes work. What I would recommend, and what we've been really fortunate enough to do, is we just have so many awesome, talented people in our lives that run with this stuff. I figure this stuff out the first time. I videotape it. I do it right here on Zoom, and I just record myself doing it on Zoom, and then I pass it off either to Kristen or to Joan and they run with it. So you really only need to perfect the system once. Once you kind of have that system up and running, you can usually leverage it out to somebody else, and it's kind of seamless. So you want to make sure that you scrub that list. Now, what's also going to happen with the Public Information, with the Public Information Act, a lot of the names are redacted. So one, you need to scrub the list of people that have moved, and then you could do it yourself, but please don't. It's very time intensive. It's definitely a great thing to leverage out to a VA or somebody you find on Fiverr or whatever. If anybody has found a better way to do this, my email is Brian, BRIAN at hergroup.com. I don't know a better way to go find the names for the addresses than to just individually look them all up in the tax rolls. So we have a VA that does that. It's very time consuming. I wish there was an easier way. There may be. I don't know how to take an entire bulk list of addresses and run it through the tax rolls all at one time. So you're going to have to do a little bit of work there. Again, I say that to say, if you're willing to do that work, guess what? Most other people aren't. So you're going to have a pretty cool list that's scrubbed and ready to go of people that probably could use your help.
Well, and it's people who aren't being reached out to in any other way, because back to the empathy of things, just realistically, when someone's going through a hard time, it's not usually something they're bragging about, right? It's not a post on Facebook of like, hey, about to get foreclosed on. How's your Monday going? You know, the reality is people need help when they're in a situation like this, because most people don't get into that situation twice, right? Let's put it that way, kind of to start with. And so be a resource because that list, it's virgin ground, right? No one's calling these people. No one's saying, hey, I noticed your water got shut off. Is everything okay? Right? Do your research and be a resource. And that's when you're going to get a good deal for everybody involved.
You'll get a good deal for everybody involved. And guess what will happen? A lot of times that good deal doesn't even involve you buying the house. It might just involve you helping them with some information that's going to help them be able to keep their house, maybe get a tenant in there and they move on to a new place, like whatever it is. But guess what? The more people that you help with your real estate expertise, the easier business gets in the future. Guarantee you that.
Absolutely. And, it's like anything else. It seems that the harder you work and more genuine you are, the luckier you get in business. That's not luck. That's not how that works.
Exactly.
Right? The harder I work, the luckier I seem to get.
Yes.
Magic.
And when you're dealing in good faith and doing right by people, it tends to get even easier. So I kind of talked about the most complicated way to do this because I think that that's really, really important to be able to have an advantage over some other people that might not go through that process. The reality is there are other sources to pull data that might not be exactly like this, but similar, right? You can go to REI Source, right? REI Source Pro is a great source as well, relatively cheaply. And I don't want to start putting people on blast here, but I think if you talk to some of your favorite title representatives, they sometimes get a huge discount where they could pull this for you a lot cheaper.
And they're so proficient in it a lot of times because it is something that they learn on a much higher scale than those that are just venturing into it. They're going to be able to give you a much easier way. So that way you don't have to go down the rabbit hole to figure the same things out. Okay.
So you might want to talk to your local title people about helping you pull some lists with things like REI Source or List Source and stuff. You're probably not going to get code violations or water shut off and stuff, but you can filter by a ton of criteria. So if you want people that have lived there for a certain time with a certain amount of equity or a certain, even a certain credit score, right? Because we want people to be able to buy on the other side if they're going to sell us their house, right? Like you could narrow it down by a million different criteria and then do whatever you want with that list. You could skip trace that list and call. You could send mailers. You can go door knock. You can do whatever you want. But it's 2021. Your ability to just pull data and have it at your fingertips is the
scary.
Data. Yeah, it's scary. The data pulling part is easy. It's the art form behind figuring out which lists are going to really convert at a high level. So we could talk about that for a whole nother webinar on how we pull lists and stuff, but I think it's really important.
Let's go back to the true value add, right? So the reason we're doing this webinar is to teach people and help people along in ideas that maybe we haven't thought of or maybe haven't thought of lately or don't know if they work. So that same REI source, dude, you have a buyer in a neighborhood, you can pull how long somebody has owned their house, how much equity they have, how their age, So if I've got empty nesters, presumably because they're going to be in their 60s and they've lived in this house for 15 years,
Sure.
more than enough time for little Billy to graduate from the high school they bought it for.
Yep.
Right? Why? And
Why
I
is
have
it whenever we do anecdotes, the kids always name Billy? I feel like that's a cultural thing too.
Jeff.
It's not just you. I use Jeff.
You use Jeff.
It's always just
I'm gonna go with
just
Billy.
Short random names.
It has to be short and random. That way we know who we're talking about.
There you go.
You know Billy. He just graduated. Come on, man. His parents want to sell the house and I have a buyer.
Exactly.
Get him on REI Source and reach out and say, hey, we have a client and their son's name is also Billy. And he's really looking forward to going to this high school someday.
100%. It's just, when you break it down to the simple rules, again, it's a portal that allows you, something like REI Source is a portal that allows you to essentially just create the perfect avatar for the seller that would match with your buyers and pull lists like that. Yep. And you do it for 1 million. Again, if you're looking for listings, same type of thing, right? What would be the avatar of the person that would get the most benefit out of today's market? And pull that list, right? So it's really, really simple to do that. Share button.
And there's no need to reinvent the wheel. That's my big thing. So if you don't have a title rep that you think is proficient on it, or it's not a conversation you've ever had with a title rep that you like to work with, shoot me an email, Geniya@hergroup.com or Brian@hergroup. I'll get it. Just let us put you in contact with people that we know have already mastered it. Right. Yep. Truly. I mean, this is their skill set.
Sure.
Just like we have our own individual skill set that we can perform on a much higher level than others because we've been doing it. Let somebody else take the burden of those learning curves off.
Agree.
Off your shoulders. There's,
100%
leverage.
100%. Oh man, I want to keep it going here. We are flying along. Only 15 minutes left. I want to leave some time for some questions if we can. Building your own group or network. Again. Yes. Like we've said 1 million times, there is not going to be a secret in here that is just so mind-blowing that you're like, never thought of that. Yeah, building your own group or network, right? Not super difficult. We've kind of been talking about building a group and network throughout this entire process and sort of in fits and spurts. But the reality is this. Other agents, I think, are a great example of this, right? Like other agents are other people. We're doing it right now, right? We have I don't know how many people we have on here right now, but a good amount of people on here right now that we are trying to bring some value to and help improve their businesses, right? Yes, I said at the beginning, I want people to just be better in this industry in general because I want to fight for this industry and for what we do every day. And I think if we're all really, really good at it, then we all win, right? The reality is, though, this. Guess what we're also doing this webinar? Letting people know that if they have off-market properties, we know what to do with them when we probably have buyers, right? Absolutely. We're building a network, continuing to grow and build a network and group right here. We're offering something of value, right? I'm kind of pulling back the curtain on how we pull water shutoff lists and do things like that, right? And in return, if you have an off-market property that you don't know what to do with or an opportunity, I really hope that you email me and come to me with it, right? You can do the exact same thing. Start your own group. Start your own networking groups. Start a group of agents that mastermind with one another. Bring value to others and then let them know what they can help you with and what your needs are. You would be amazed at people's willingness to reciprocate.
And this is this is one, we're doing it right now.
Sure.
If I honestly sit here and think, well, we covered every single way to get off market property. Whoa, like, no, email us and be like, no, you forgot this, and this, and this, and this. And you know what? I hope there are ideas in there that I've never thought of or haven't thought of in a long time because I can go, well, shit, this is going to help everybody here, right? And that's the point. I mean, this isn't you don't have to be a lone wolf, even if you're a lone wolf, right?
Sure.
Like it's not necessary.
No, not at all.
Why not mastermind with people who maybe they don't have their shit together, maybe they do. How are you going to find out?
Yeah, how are you going to find out? And what can you learn from them as well?
Yes.
We do a great, or I should say Matt Kelderman does a great job of this on the just agent to agent side of things. So Matt, his business, he did $18 million last year in production, phenomenal year. Mostly it was past client sphere and agent referrals. He has built a massive agent referral network all over the country. And it's one of the only things in his life he's done intentionally like that was super positive, right? It's something he started back in like 2015 where he realized, like, dude, he's like, if you're not providing valuable content to other professionals online, you're going to be missing a huge opportunity in the future. And he's 100% right. I mean, now everybody does it. Now we're doing it right now, right? This is streaming live on Facebook as well. And so he started building out a referral group. He built it from, the 3 or 4 agents in other markets that he knew at the time. And now he's built it up. I mean, now he's in a position where he actually has more referrals and he knows what to do with it. I know that sounds bougie, but the problem that he's running into now is that he is also running a team with us as well. And he has more referrals than he knows what to do with, in the sense that his value proposition was always that he was going to be the one personally handling the referral.
And that's the hardest thing you can possibly do, is hand off a referral somebody trusted you with.
Exactly.
Right?
And so he's always tried to avoid doing that. And now, just due to time constraints, it doesn't work for him anymore. But he was intentional about building that network from the ground up. And you know what he did? He provided value and insight to all of his referral partners along the way. He continues to. He does masterminds. He does nuggets every day. He has his newsletter that goes out every single week. He has, all the podcast that we do together. All that stuff is in an effort to help educate other agents. And in return, if you got somebody moving to Dallas, you'll probably think of him.
Yep. And that's the point, is right now, I think what's happening is he's really, not to speak for Pat, because he's not here. He should be here. So the reality is he's learning ways to be able to hand off those referrals and clear off some space on his plate without doing unjust to the person that sent him the referral.
Yeah.
For instance, him and I kind of masterminded on an investor, and this is something that I don't really think he's interested in learning a whole bunch about, right? Whereas I already know a lot of it. So what he did is he took this referral and he said, okay, Geniya, here you go. This is a referral from so-and-so. Here's what I know. I know nothing, like, that's it.
Yes.
We had a meeting the following day. We were out looking at properties. And so now he can sit back and say, this went well. This was well handled. And there's no reason all of us can't be doing that, because I can't be an expert in every single investment property in the entire state of Texas, right?
Sure.
I need somebody to work with in other markets. I need somebody's help. That I can't be in 10 places at once, right? You know where I'm going to be on the first Tuesday of the month. And it sure as hell isn't, somewhere else. I'm going to be right. I'm not going to be at the office. I'm not going to be home. So yeah, think outside the box. Work with people who are willing to help you and add value to your business.
100%.
In all different ways.
100%. It is as easy as that. Again, I said this all seems self-deprecating because we're just talking about stuff that's really easy and pumping it up like it's the greatest thing in the world. But the reality is, ask for the business, ask for the opportunity, be vocal about it. I can't remember what I was just going to say about building groups again, but that is, we talked about on the agent referral side of things, but that is essentially what Kelderman has done. He has built a value proposition that has helped him deepen relationships with other people and come back to him in spades. We talk about this type of stuff a lot, like, how do we generate more deals? How do this? Ask, right? If you're not starting with, let's just ask, then we're already overthinking it, right? We're blessed now that we have a large enough team that a lot of deals we kind of get to know about first. It wasn't always that way, though. And if it's not that way for you in your business right now, make sure that you're asking. We just, in the last couple of weeks, my parents are pretty avid real estate investors as well. Their flip that they just bought right down the street in Carrollton, it was a deal that one of our agents on the team came to me with. And he was like, hey, these people's house is a mess. We're probably going to put on the MLS if you don't want it. But if you want it, come see it today and make an offer. I called my dad. I was like, hey, y'all need, I was like, here's the numbers. Meet me there at 3:00. Made an offer on the spot, got under contract, never needed to go live because the sellers got what they wanted. They're super sweet people too. Our agent got what he wanted because he had already signed an agreement with them. So he got paid. He was able to get them converted into a new build, their new house. So he gets both sides of that, right? He's like, it works for everybody. And guess what? They had been in the house for 30 years. Their biggest thing is they just didn't want people traipsing to their house. It was a mess. They didn't want to show it. They just wanted a fast close and somebody who is reliable.
Yes.
And we have positioned ourselves as people that can close fast and are reliable. And now we're able to get deals because of that process. But it started with just asking. It started with just asking for business or just asking for opportunity from other agents, right? Other agents probably have deals that are either never going to hit the MLS, might hit the MLS, but you might be able to get in there beforehand. People that aren't even, agents have people in their network that aren't even thinking about selling right now unless you brought the right buyer. They don't have the right buyer, but you might, right? Just ask.
Just network with the people that are already there. You have a built-in network.
Yep.
You're just, if it's not working for you, I think you're not looking far enough out, right? It can't be the very closest sphere. It can't be the people you see every single week. You need to broaden your circle.
You're not thinking dumb enough. Right. You got to think like a dummy like me and just be simple and just ask. Right. Yep. This is the last one that I really want to dive into because this is kind of unique in this particular market. It's not something that is probably going to be the biggest opportunity showstopper for you in the world. But in this particular market, it's very unique. Builder relationships.
Huge opportunities.
So explain this to us. Why is this so important to have relationships with great builder reps right now?
All right. So the reason, you should always have great relationships with them because inevitably you're going to have a buyer that's going to build with a builder that you've either never worked with before or constantly work with. Sure. There are only so many, right? Especially of the big time guys that stick around.
Sure.
So you need to make sure that they know you by name. You need to make sure that every time you do a deal or anything, you don't even need to close the deal. You want to set an appointment with a builder because your buyer wants to take a look at them, send them a thank you card.
Sure.
Don't make it a bullshit card. Make it an actual thank you card, like put the stamp on, right? This is time well spent. These are the kind of things that I like to do. But these are the kind of things I do late at night when I know I can't be making calls, when I know I can't be on the phone with my investors going, hey, did the floor go in? You know what I mean? There are some hours of your day that are always going to be off limits to really doing business.
Yep.
Use them wisely if you're doing work. So send a thank you card for your appointment. They're going to know who you are. That is not something most people do.
Yep.
What that creates is a beautiful bridge into, hey, so-and-so, I have a buyer looking in that area. Do you have any contracts that you think are on shaky ground? The builder rep, that sales rep that's sitting in the model home will always know when shit's going to hit the fan on a file before it happens. Why are you going to wait for the email that goes out to 10,000 agents that have maybe worked with that builder before that says, hey, great opportunity, contract fell through, available next month.
Sure.
Why don't I already know that a week before? You knew it. We knew the lender wasn't going to close.
Yeah.
That's not new information when the email goes out. They don't find out that morning.
Right.
So if they know you have a buyer need and keep it updated, you can constantly have needs in front of them. And that really creates an opportunity for you to be able to not only have a good relationship with that sales rep because you're constantly reaching out and they answer. Their job is to answer. You're not bothering them, right? One of those days, they're going to reply and say, hey, I think 123 Main Street's going to fall out. It's a 2-story on a quarter acre. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah,
gray and white. Hell yeah, I have somebody.
I'll give you a story. This is in practice. Macy, our listing manager, this is a great story. I met Macy because she is the daughter of one of my past clients and I've sold 4 houses for. Okay. So this last one that we sold was in Trinity Falls in McKinney. Really low inventory in the neighborhood at the time. This is a couple of years ago. It's still low inventory. But I was friends with the representative from Perry Homes in the neighborhood. I was doing an open house one day and he called me during my open house and he had said, hey, anybody that house doesn't work for, we've got a similar square footage, different floor plan that is going to come back on the market in like a couple of days. It just fell out. I said, oh, okay, cool. So everybody that's coming to the open house is talking through and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Ended up having a couple, Alicia De Leon, I can't remember her husband's name, right? Were like, this one doesn't quite work for us. It was like a 1.5 story. So the layout didn't work for everybody. She was like, she wanted all like more bedrooms upstairs and stuff. But it was like everything else was perfect, right? If they just had the bedrooms upstairs, aside from the master, that would have been the perfect layout for them, blah, 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 whatever. I said, okay, fantastic. Let me make one call because I think there might be a house that I know about right now that might work for you perfectly. Called Kevin. I pair up. I said, can we show it? And he was like, it officially just fell out like an hour ago and nobody's there. So I could probably let you in, right? Took them over there after the open house, made an offer later that night, got them under contract, got it closed. And it was like, they turned into a spec. I got a little agent bonus on it too. But I say that to say, if I didn't know that Perry rep,
exactly,
he wouldn't have called me while I was at my open house.
You would have been on that email list with 10,000 other agents.
6 days later.
Exactly. When everyone else has already seen it, everyone else is aware. Now you're in multiple offers on a spec home that you should have known about.
Yeah, 100%. So I got information in the moment that I was able to go and convert into business right then. It's not always going to happen that way, but that was a real life story that actually happened. So sometimes it happens that way.
Absolutely. And so here's the flip side of it. So I had built a couple of homes in McKinney, one that we lived in and one that I had for an investment. And I always use the same rep, right? So if I'm sticking to a neighborhood, I have relationships with reps of different builders, and I like to stick to that person. Like, that's my person, right? They know me best. I know them best. It's a good relationship. How else are you going to build relationships if you're always working with somebody else, right? So we had a great relationship. I get a call from them, right? Obviously, I have their number saved. That's a phone call I want to answer because they know I have buyers. They know I'm in real estate. There's only one reason they're calling me, and it's not to shoot the shit, right? And so I answer the phone, and he says, "Hey, Geniya, quick question for you." And I said, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "I just had somebody come in that wasn't represented when they built their house, and they've come to tell me they're getting a new job. This is a true story."
Oh, wow.
And they needed to sell their house. And who did they come to? That's their real estate expert, because they don't have representation when they built. The builder rep. That's their friend.
How about that?
Yep. How about that? Guess who listed that house? I'll give you 3 guesses. You'll need 1. Right? So how in the world do you create a listing out of a builder rep? By having a good relationship, by always being in front of them, by closing deals, right? Have your buyers pre-approved, so that way you're not the one that fell out that they had to call Brian about.
That is true. Unfortunately, the tough side of that is there's an agent on the end of that deal that lost the deal somewhere in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what's unfortunate? Usually things like that can be prevented unless it's truly an out of your hands kind of life event, right? It just be a good person, build that network, build that relationship with that builder rep, and you are going to have more success than you expected if you're genuine and you keep following up.
Yeah, 100%. Just building relationships. That's kind of everything we're saying comes back to.
From the moment we introduced ourselves poorly.
Right.
So right now, just be a good person and build relationships.
It comes back to kind of the secret to success in all real estate. Build relationships and find more people that know, like, and trust you. And you do that by being genuine and dealing well in your business, right? Guys, that's all I got for you. I'm going to throw this back up one more time, little share screen here. Seriously, I know I said this in the beginning and I said that I would say it again. These are our email addresses. Write them down. Shoot us an email. We would love to sit down, have coffee, or just BS back and forth via email. If there's anything that we can do to help you with your business, that's what we're here for. That's why we do this. So don't be afraid to reach out. We'd love to chat with you. We appreciate you guys jumping on with us. Let me copy this really fast before we end, and copy. Boom. I wanted to make sure I saved that dude's email address so we can get a wholesale list.
Yes.
All righty, guys. Thank you so much for jumping on with us. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.